Okay, hi. So you are probably an engineering student, or you want to become an engineer one day, or start studying engineering. Then this is the right video for you. So I will go through a couple of points which I would have loved to know um, when I started studying engineering. And yeah, so let's start. So first thing is time management. So the the first thing you want to do when you study your semester is write down in, for example, Google Calendars when your lectures are. I will explain why. So don't be surprised. These are not all lectures, but other things instead. So yeah, I have some free time as well. Don't worry. And let's say here at Monday, I have my lecture in electronics. So what you want to do is after electronics, repeat immediately what you have learned there. Because if you don't repeat what the lecture was about, you will forget a big percentage of that lecture. So what you want to do is repeat immediately after the lecture, or like at the same day, and the day after the lecture again what the lecture was about. Because if you don't repeat it, as you can see on this graph, you will forget a lot of that stuff, and it will be very hard to get to like 80% of what the lecture was about, where you remember 80% of it. Yeah. Okay, so that's why you want to, after you have written down your lecture, that's why you want to block a time for your repetition immediately after the lecture or at the same day, and one day after that again. So I have done that for every single lecture. For example, here at the Messtechnik, it's German for like measuring things. I have one repetition here and a second repetition here. Okay, so next point is Reclaim.ai. That's a very great tool for your time management. So Reclaim.ai pretty much is like a secretary for you, like an AI, which tells you when you need to do what. For example, here you can write down your deadlines for, or like things you just need to do. Right? So here, for example, I've written down, okay, I need to finish until Wednesday, 7th of December, or like between Wednesday, 7th of December and 14th. I need to finish this task, right? So Reclaim.ai will automatically schedule you a time where you will be able to work on these things. And if you're too close to the deadline, it will say, hey, it's risky that you get to finish these tasks. And if it's overdue, if you should have already finished it, I've just not updated that yet, um, then it will tell you that as well. So by that, you always know, so like, hey, do I have time to meet some people at this and this date, right? So you save a lot of time and a lot of stress, where you know, okay, I will be able to finish everything until this and this date. Yeah, and if you start to use Reclaim.ai, I also recommend to plan like 2 times the time of what you think you need, because most of the time you need a lot more time than you it, actually thought. Yeah, so um, make different lectures on small study times. What I mean by that is, don't like I recommend to not work like one day just on one lecture, but split the different lectures up in smaller time frames. For example, if you take time for one lecture um, with 8 hours, let's say you want to study computer science 8 hours, okay, for some reason, one day, 8 hours straight. You won't be able to like um, get finished or like get done as much as if you would have planned 2 hours, because yeah, that's just how we work. I don't know, but yeah, it worked out for me to take smaller time frames instead of bigger study chunks. So yeah, Next point is start studying early. What do I mean by that? So let's say your semester starts at October 2022, and your finals, your exams are like the end of January. And if you start studying in December and haven't started learning it like from the beginning on, you have to repeat October, November, and December until the end of January. So this will be a lot of stress. I can guarantee you that. So this is actually the secret to have no stress. One point. That's basically one point for later on. So that's the secret for having no stress in your study if you just start early. Okay, next point, sleep time. You need minimum 8 hours a day. If you don't have 8 hours a day of sleep, then you will be stressed and you won't be able to concentrate as long as you will actually need to do. Okay, so it's not that hard to study, let's say, 8 hours a day if you have enough sleep and if you take enough breaks in the meantime. What do I mean by that? Okay, let's go to the point Pomodoro. So Pomodoro is a nice technique to study. It basically works like that. You study 45 minutes and then you take a 15-minute break. Or alternatively, you study 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break, and then 25 minutes of studying and then 5 minutes of a break again. By that, you just are able to concentrate more. You can open the window and get some fresh air into your room, because your concentration will also decline if you don't have enough oxygen in your room, right? So better take a break and open your window again, work a little bit around, take a drink or something like that. Yeah. Next point, old exams. It's very, very important that you get your hands on old exams from people who also studied the same thing as you, because these are the best preparation for your lecture. If you don't have anyone who you could ask, like, hey, can I get your exams, maybe your old ones, then just please ask people if they study the same thing as you. Ask for the WhatsApp numbers and ask them if they maybe could help you out with old exams. They very likely have some, because professors not always want you to have their old exams, but unofficially there are always some, right? So next point, useful home screen. So what do I mean by that? I have for each lecture, for example here at computer science, one shortcut. You can install that by yourself. It's very easy. Just go to shortcuts and then make a new shortcut and say, hey, okay, when I press on this shortcut, for example here on this one, then please open up this and that and this and that. And by that you will save a lot of time searching out the individual PDFs, presentations, and so on. Yeah, that's just a nice, it's just nice to have, right? So next point, Mindmap. If the presentation of your professor in one specific lecture isn't very well structured, I can highly recommend you to start mind maps, or like start to write down mind maps. So for example, at Messen Sensor Technique, that's a very big lecture of mine. And what I've done there is for each lecture, for example, for the sixth lecture, Vorlesung 6, I have written down what the lecture is about, optical position sensors, and then I've written down on a high level, like what the professor actually wants to tell me. And so I've done that for every different lecture, and for example for statistics, which was difficult to understand, I've written down like different cases where you need to do what, and so on. Okay, so next point, and I guess that's the last point, is to-do lists and questions. If you don't understand something of your lecture, please go to your professor, or like first of all, write these questions down, as long as you remember them, and ask your professor in the next lecture, hey, like I didn't get that, please explain again. To-do lists, I have here a quick to-do list of Apple. So in case I'm in my study, like in my lecture in computer science, I just write down what I have to do here with a quick hashtag like quick computer science 3 get to know command XYZ, right? And then I know that I have to do that. Okay, so last point, I want to mention the midday hole. If you have problems with that, like after eating in the middle of the day, right? You may get tired and won't be able to be productive. Then I can, from my experience, recommend to split up your meal. Like take your meal into a lunchbox and don't eat everything at once, so your blood sugar level doesn't explode. But instead, like split your meal up and eat it in small portions over your day. Yeah, if you have an empty stomach, you at least I am able to study much more efficient and much more willing than if I'm fully yeah if then when I'm full with a lot of meal, right? Yeah. So thanks for watching. I hope these points help you. Don't forget, like 50% at least in Germany of the engineering students don't make it because they are not well prepared, because they don't study enough, and so on. And maybe these points help you to finish your engineering degree. Yeah. Thanks for watching.